The Olympics. They take place every 4 years, and only the best of the best take part in these athletic games. We all know the popular sports, like swimming, diving, running, and skiing, but did you know that there are a lot of other sports in the Olympics that were phased out over time? Facts First presents Ridiculous Sports That Used to Be Part of the Olympics. The horse long jump. Those who take part in the Olympics rely on their own skill and physical strength to win medals. There was once a sport, though, called the horse long jump, and they had to rely on the strength and ability of, well, the horse. Because the person on the horse didn't need to have any skills whatsoever, it wasn't a very popular sport. And it also wasn't fair for a rider to win a medal that the horse actually earned. Because of this, the event was phased out. Town planning. Yeah, it was an Olympic sport, and it has nothing to do with speed or strength. It's a non-sport that was featured at 4 Olympic Games. The event was part of the architectural design category of the arts. After just 4 games, this event was removed from the Olympics because it wasn't about speed or strength. It required 0 athletic ability. Tug of war. I'm guessing every single person listening to me right now has played tug of war at a family or company picnic, maybe at their school, or just in the backyard with some friends. Did you know that tug of war was actually an event in the Olympics? For over 20 years, in fact, teams got together to try to win the gold in the tug of war event. Eventually, people realized that 2 teams pulling on a rope is only exciting for the first 3 seconds. Finally, it was phased out of the games. Solo synchronized swimming. How's that for an oxymoron? Synchronized swimming is a popular sport. Solo swimming is a popular sport. Solo synchronized swimming doesn't even make sense. If you're by yourself, who are you synchronizing with? Well, believe it or not, this used to be an event in the Olympics. So how do you synchronize solo swim? Well, it was the music that they had to be synchronized with, not other people. Today, it's no longer a sport in the Olympics, but it is still a popular sport around the world. I guess that'd be like ice skaters skating to some piece of music. It was just in the water. Basque Pelota. To play this sport, you need nothing but a racket, a ball, and a wall. Kind of sounds like racquetball to me. What do you think? It's a combination of handball and tennis, and it was a very popular sport in the Olympics in 1900, but it was eventually phased out. Plunge for distance. There are a lot of swimming competitions in the Summer Olympics where you got to swim faster than your opponents. In 1904, there was a sport called plunge for distance, and you didn't have to be a fast swimmer or even a strong swimmer. All you had to do was drop as far into the water as possible. It was a sport in the 1904 Olympics, but it was eventually phased out because, let's face it, it's actually more fun to just do a cannonball. Croquet. The Olympics are supposed to be fast, intense, and physically taxing. That's what makes them enjoyable to watch. If you were on a croquet team, it was the exact opposite. In the 1900 Olympics, croquet was a sport. It was the most leisurely of all sports in the games, and that's probably why it was phased out. Boring. The swimming obstacle race. Obstacle races are very common, and in the 1900 Olympics there was a competition that had competitors doing obstacle courses in the water. The pool was filled with various obstacles in the pool, and competitors fought to score the shortest time getting through the course. Tandem bicycle sprint. When you think of a tandem bicycle, you think of a couple riding together through the park, right? Tandem bicycling was actually a sport in the Olympics, and it lasted for quite a while. From 1906 all the way to 1972, it was a popular men's sport. Spectators would watch the 2-man teams crash through the course, and the audience loved it. In 1972, though, the competition was phased out of the Olympics. Club swinging. Well, that sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? But to excel at club swinging, you needed precision, flexibility, and a lot of practice. It's been compared to the current sport, rhythmic gymnastics. There are people who still play this sport today, but it's no longer an Olympic event. Race walking. You probably are familiar with this. Even if you don't do it yourself, you've seen these people like in the mall or around your neighborhood walking as fast as they could. It's a great way to get exercise, and if you do it in the mall, you're out of the elements. And it does sound strange, but race walking was once part of the 2016 Olympics. Yeah, 2016, that's how recent. To succeed, racers had to be very patient and complete concentration was essential, but obviously very boring to watch. Rope climb. Who could ever forget the dreaded rope climb in gym class, huh? Most kids hated that part of gym class, but every school did it, at least for a while. I don't know if they do it anymore, but they certainly did it when I was in school. Rope climbing was also an Olympic sport at one time. In the 1896 Olympic Games, the competitors were judged by their time and style while climbing the rope. Roller hockey. Roller hockey is a popular sport at rinks and on the streets even today, and it used to be in the Olympics. Roller hockey was an Olympic game in the 1992 Olympics. Unfortunately, there weren't too many fans of the sport. I guess it's a lot of fun to play, not so much fun to watch. Without forgot the rules of hockey and the thrill that the ice made for actual hockey, this sport fell short. 1992 was the only year it was in the games, and it was immediately dropped thereafter. Lacan. The Olympic sport Lacan is basically fencing, but with canes, not swords. Now that doesn't seem all that difficult, but it does take a lot of focus and precision. It was featured in the 1924 Olympics, but it didn't get the attention it needed in order to be a regular sport. 1924 was the first and only year it was featured in the Olympics. Trampoline. A lot of you probably grew up with trampolines in your own backyard and loved it, right? In 2016, the trampoline was featured in the Olympic Games, and it is still part of the Olympic Games. People really seem to catch on to it, and there's a good chance that we are going to see it in the 2020 Summer Olympics. If this sport continues, your kids could actually be training in your own backyard right now and compete in the future. There's your retirement plan, Mom and Dad. Hot air ballooning. Oddly, this was an Olympic event in the 1900 Olympics. It was more of a demonstration event than an actual sport, which could be why it didn't become a permanent fixture. Those who took part in the event were judged on distance, duration, elevation, and design. I can't imagine it'd be all that fun to watch, though. Standing high jump. The high jump is a common competition at the Summer Olympics. From 1900 to 1912, there was another competition that revolved around jumping called the standing high jump. For this sport, you do exactly what it sounds like. Rather than running and trying to get a high jump, you're standing still and doing a high jump as high as possible. It actually takes a lot of strength to do this, and that must have been a crazy sight to see. I wouldn't mind seeing this one come back just once so I could watch it. Pigeon shooting. Today, a sport like the 1900 Olympic sport, pigeon shooting would never be allowed. The reason for this is that instead of using clay pigeons like we do today, the competitors in 1900 used real pigeons. During the 1900 Olympic Games, over 300 birds were shot. Today, that would be considered animal cruelty, and animal rights activists would be up in arms, and you would probably be going to jail for cruelty to animals. People must not have liked it too much in the 1900 Games either. That's probably the reason that it didn't become a permanent sport. But people still today do like to shoot at clay pigeons all over the world. Underwater swimming. Okay, that's a bit redundant. I mean, don't you have to be underwater to swim? Well, this actually was a game, but it didn't last. Now, the problem with the sport is that all the action would take place underwater, when the spectators couldn't see what was going on. Now, today, we do have advanced waterproof technology that would allow us to watch what's happening under the water, and because of that, it might make a comeback, but you never know. And if it does come back, they need to call it something other than underwater swimming because that's a stupid name. Dueling pistols. Here's something that sounds deadly. Dueling pistols was a popular Olympic sport in the 1900s, but nobody wanted to die during the games. Gee, I wonder why. So they didn't shoot at each other. During the event, competitors shot at dummies using wax bullets. It didn't last in the Olympics, unfortunately, because that actually might be kind of interesting. The Inuit 1-foot high kick. This was never an Olympic event, but it is a popular non-Olympic sport. Competitors have to kick a ball that's suspended in the air using only 1 foot. The difficult part is that they have to land on that same foot. Because the ball's about 7 feet above the ground, you have to be very flexible and very strong and very agile to win. Flaming puck unicycle hockey. Let me say that again because it just sounds so strange. Flaming puck unicycle hockey. Well, fire can make just about every sport more intense. We all know the Canadians love their hockey, and a Canadian man named Darren Bedford created the sport of flaming puck unicycle hockey. Players follow the typical ice hockey rules, but they play on unicycles. Can you imagine trying to balance on a unicycle on ice? And then to make it even more intense, they light the puck on fire. Not an Olympic sport, but dagnabbit, I want to see this somewhere. If there's a YouTube video of this, send it to me because I want to see that. And finally, Pesapallo. This is Finland's version of baseball, but it looks a lot different than the American version. The ball is pitched vertically, and that allows players to influence the power and direction of their hits. If you're a fan of American baseball, you're going to get a kick out of this sport if you can find a video of it somewhere. So, are any of these Olympic events something you'd like to see brought back? Or maybe there's a sport that you'd like to see the Olympics bring in that we didn't discuss? Tell us about it in the comments, and subscribe for more.